Okay, let's. I read the other. You read even. Chapter 15. Okay, one more time. And he said, a certain man had two sons.
And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the estate that falls to me. And he divided his wealth between them.
And not many days later, the younger son gathered everything together and went on a journey into a distant country, and there he squandered his estate with loose living.
Now, when he had spent everything, a severe famine occurred in that country, and he began to be in need.
And he went and attached himself to one of the citizens of the country, and he sent him into his field to feed swine.
And he was longing to fill his stomach with the pods that the swine were eating, and no one was giving him anything to him.
But when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired men have more than enough bread, but I am dying here with hunger.
I will get up, I will go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight.
I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired men.
And he got up and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion for him, and ran and embraced him and kissed him.
And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, I am no longer worthy to be called your son.
But the father said to his slaves, Quickly bring out the best robe, put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet.
And bring the fattened calf, kill it, and let us eat and be merry.
For a son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found. And they began to be merry.
Now his older son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing.
And he summoned one of his servants and began inquiring what these things might be.
And he said to him, Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound.
But he became angry and was not willing to go in. And his father came out and began entreating him.
But he answered and said to his father, Look, for so many years I have been serving you, and I have never neglected a command of yours, and yet you have never given me a kid, that I might be merry with my friends.
But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your wealth, well, with harlots, you killed the fattened calf for him.
And he said to him, My child, you have always been with me, and all that is mine is yours.
But we had to be merry and rejoice, for this brother of yours was dead and has begun to live, and was lost and has been found.
아멘. 거기까지. 자, the junior, can you see this paper?
Yeah, hold on.
I read this and you hear and the wonderful story.
Okay.
I would like to introduce the remarkable story found in Luke chapter 15, from verse 11 to verse 35. Hypocritical pastors call this simply the story of the prodigal son. I define those pastors as a pack of mongrel dogs. That is how they have lived, and that is how they continue to live. By using the word prodigal, they present themselves as though the substance of their own lives is different from that of the prodigal son, thereby adding to their own self-glorification. I do not recognize those who carry the title pastor. However, this is not the story of the prodigal son. A prodigal son refers to someone who has ruined his life. For the prodigal son, there is no possibility of restoration. Yet the story introduced by my friend Jesus is not that. It is the story, the actual reality of our present existence. The process taking place after humanity has fallen into degradation. Indeed, it is the voices of heaven that the tremendously loving Creator God speaks to sinners. It is the sound of human rebirth, the sound of human nature, and the story of resurrection, a resurrection that must exist only in those human beings who possesses the life of the Creator God. Now let us enter into the text. In verse 11 and 12, the younger of the two sons asks his father for his share of the inheritance. Father, give me the share of the property that is coming to me. Without hesitation, the father divided his property between his sons. The son believed that he had something that belonged to him, but this was only the younger son's own way of thinking. His thinking was selfish. He believed that there was something that was his own. Then, who is the person who came into this world possessing something of his own? We all came into this world naked and covered only in our flesh. Is there anyone who came into this world holding a $100 million diamond in his hand? Is there anyone who was born wearing golden armor? Is there anyone who came into the world with even the rank insignias of a private first class on his shoulder? No one on this earth came that way. And yet this younger son believed that he had something that belonged to him. From this story, we can sense that this younger son had been born into an extraordinarily wealthy family. From this story, we can sense that this younger son had been born into an extraordinarily wealthy family. Now let us examine verse 13. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. Reckless living. The phrase, he squandered his property, means that he did not work for interest. He did not engage in business. He did not save his money, and he did not invest in real estate. He simply consumed everything. Nor did he study in order to elevate his own ideas into novel ideas. He simply wasted himself in reckless living. For this younger son, those days were days of celebration, days of joy, days of emotion and excitement. They were days when he felt as though the light of all the shells in the universe were pouring down upon him. They were, in his mind, entirely good days. The younger son eating the fat. Oh, okay. Okay. In verse 19, he says, I am no longer worthy to be. Wait a second. So, okay, here. But life does not consist only of good days. The younger man exhausted everything he possessed, and then a natural disaster struck as well. He had no choice but to work, and he found himself working as a keeper of pigs. Even though he wanted to eat the pods that the pigs were eating, no one gave him anything. Verse 17 says, but when he came to himself, clearly there was no compassion on his side, no trace of human being sympathy from anyone who could perceive even a fragment of his humanity. Now he looks back upon his past when he was in his father's house. There was abundant food there. There was many hired servants, but his present condition was one in which he was starving to death. He was crying out in the agony of his heart, carrying within himself the terrible pain of life that had become a complete failure, trapped in ruins. No one looked upon his situation with pity or compassion. He was alone. Then he began to escape from the situation. Now something deeply human emerges. He begins to recognize his own ignorance. He comes to understand. He makes a decision in his heart that he must escape from his present evil circumstances. Verse 19 and verse 20 say, I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and went to his father. The younger son recognized that he had been wrong. Therefore, he acknowledged his error, decided to live the righteous life, and made his escape toward his father's embrace. This escape was a dramatic movement forward when a human being recognized his own error. He cannot move his life forward. He can move his life forward. When a human being recognizes his own error, he can move his life forward. We often speak of someone as a deeply human person, a person overflowing with humanity. Such a person can be described as someone in whom life is flowing. Between a person who has not acknowledged his errors and a person who has acknowledged his errors and corrected the direction of his life, with whom would we want to have a conversation? Whom would the society want? Whom would the Almighty support? The younger son is an independent human being. Human beings must become independent. The loving Creator God expressly declares human independence in His Word. It is found in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, and my friend Jesus repeated it again in Matthew chapter 19:5. The younger son moved forward, carrying within his idea his arrogance, his courage, the temperament of a pioneer, his rudeness and insolence, and his ignorance. His father did not oppose his inexperienced understanding of life. Instead, he allowed him to move forward. The younger son was bold, but he enjoyed the praise, and he experienced its end. He struggled with shame, hunger, and the bitterness of his heart. Yet, just as he had courageously moved forward into his world, he also courageously escaped from the hell of failures and defeat, even in the midst of his terrible misery. One more again. Yet, just as he had courageously moved forward into his world, he also courageously escaped from the hell of failures and defeat, even in the midst of his terrible misery. In verse 20, the father welcomed the son who approaches him after overcoming the devastating pain of life that had experienced failure. He celebrates him. He is deeply moved. He holds a feast for him. But the father in Luke's gospel is absolutely not merely a biological father who possesses physical flesh and has passed down physical inheritance to his son. He is God the Father, the loving Creator, the Almighty. There is one thing we should pause to consider. The fact that the younger son returned to his father does not mean that he gave up his independence. Absolutely not. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Is this? Now let us examine verse 13. Not many days. Now let us examine verse 13. Okay. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had, and no, not this one, okay, not this one, okay, here in verse 19, the younger son eating the fatting. This is the subject, okay. Here in verse 19 he says, I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. The younger son became one of the hired servants. We are all hired servants. We are all hired servants. Jesus, the Lord of salvation, for those who believe, came into this world in human flesh as the servant of God the Father Almighty, the God of love. All of us who believe are servants. A servant is one who works. Servants are those who serve the world. They are those who manage themselves and manage the world around them. Jesus, who is the image of the glorious substance of God the Father, the loving Creator, came into this world in human flesh. He served those human beings who were destined to die because of sin, and he worked to guide them onto the path of truth leading towards heaven. Now the younger son has become a manager as a servant. Now the younger son has become a manager as a servant. In verse 21, he repeated what he said in verse 18. Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. He repeats it once again. This is the confession of one who has overcome suffering. It is the confession of one who has conquered death. Then the father is deeply moved, and together with his younger son, he celebrates in a joyful feast. God the Father Almighty, the loving Creator, requires those whom He loves to stand in the position of managers. That is what it means to be servants. The loving Creator God leads all who believe in Him who become servants. A servant is a strong and independent person who works and manages within the realm of God the Father, the loving Creator. In verse 27, the servant who has overcome a devastating defeat is to become a person with a healthy body. When the old son is puzzled, the servant tells him, "Your father has received him back in good health, good health, and he has killed the fattened calf. A healthy servant is the meat of the fattened calf." Instead, he has now arrived at true independence. He has now arrived at true independence. There we are being shown the human management of life, financially management, the stimulation produced by management, and the celebration that comes from the expansion and the development of a human enterprise. The loving Father celebrate His Son with overwhelming emotion and joy. Done. Wonderful, gentlemen. You make sense.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Okay, you're wonderful. You're wonderful.
take it,
You are wonderful, gentlemen.
take it all in.
Yes, you're wonderful, gentlemen. Maybe you keep that paper and read it again
Yeah, I'll read it.
in your
Yeah,
room.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'll keep it.
We'll-
Reread it again.
Yeah.
Or,
If you have a question, you ask him.
yeah. No, yeah.
No, you will be the independent man.
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful.
Man, it's a change.
Yeah.
Just gotta remain positive.
This is a wonderful story. It's not a prodigal son.
I think you missed one page though.
This one page.
Right here, instead, he has now arrived at true independence.
Where is that? Mission.
This one right here.
Oh, lost it. Oh. Instead, he has now arrived at the true independence. Page is what is
You know, because you went to the.
Oh, okay,
19.
yeah. Page, because of page, yeah. Page you make. You make your page. You write down the page you make. That is the.
You want me to write it?
I printed now the same day printed. The different they therefore happening that page. You read the story. According to the story, you can write down the page. Yeah. I see. Yeah. Because this letter is not 1 day later. Letter. It's I did printed 3 days. 3 days. Yeah. Therefore, helping the page.
I just gotta figure it out.
Yeah, you can, if you read, you can make the page. Yeah. Okay, done. Done.